Greg, happy summer. Late August, been a while.
Yeah, I think next year I'm going to take off from April 1st through July. I'm just going to shut down April, May, June, July. I just think it's just too boring for me. I think, the market is, seasonally, we have our good down legs in, August, September, October, and then we have the big up, November, December, January. Maybe play a little bit of Fed, see the first quarter, and then, I'll probably play the bonds real heavy during the bullish period. And that's it. Then I'll turn around and just play the market down again at the end of the year. I'm just going to start taking a third of the year off.
Know your strengths and weaknesses and play to them.
Yeah, I want to get the seasonality business working the right way. Or, maybe do, premium selling is all. But you got to maybe, think things through in terms of the equity thing that I have this argument with everybody about, all the time.
You were saying offline before we came on. Ask me about equities. We didn't talk about anything. So tell me what's going on. You said you played Apple again.
I did Apple the last earnings, and then I put on a bullish trade, and then I ended up taking it off one day when I got flat. I made like 17 points on the last Apple strangle or whatever. Right. And so this earnings come out, and I do a straddle versus strangle business, and I make $700 and pay $2,100 in spreads. I just think that, equity options blow like a bulimic at Thanksgiving dinner. I'm just so fucking mad at myself for even aggravating myself. And all I had to do was roll out weekly, and it went right back to 600 anyway.
Right.
And I would have ended up doing great. And it's just proof that it's just stupid. I don't care if they're giving fucking money away. I ain't taking it anymore. I'm not doing anything to do with equities ever, 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 ever. I got this knife here. Every time I'm going to stick my fucking finger out and think about pushing the button, I'm going to chop it off. I leave this knife out to make sure, to make sure I don't do it. But the same thing applies right now to the market. I see everybody on this twit thing, these perma bears are getting their claws ripped out. And, I've said to everybody just time and time again, like, geez, don't be short at the end of the beginning, the end and beginning of the month. And they said, statistically, August is bad at the beginning. Hey, look, there's money around. The Fed's talking this stuff. You don't want to be short that window. Now, as of yesterday, let's go. I could see where you'd want to be short, but
see the tender certain price.
I told you the other day I ended up getting one of those flounder and drowned accounts, that Thinkorswim account, and I talked to a guy over there that's actually a really good guy.
Yeah.
And we were talking about options, and we measured off. If you went and bought 1390 puts, you need a 3% drop in the S&P. Clearly, long VIX is a better play than short the market itself. And look at days like today, where people had to endure a 12-handle move, and I slept through the whole thing.
Right.
So, and the rubber band stretched pretty taut. What do you got with VIX? Another 4 or 5 points? Maybe it goes to single digits, but it don't last long.
Yeah. It got down to 8, 9, and 05, 06. So we've been there before.
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. But, we're in a situation where, VIX, you could make 100% like that. And what are you trying to make in the S&P? 3? 4? Where are we going to go? What's nirvana to the bears right now? 1240?
1180 to 1120, way outside.
Oh, I see 1240 as a brick wall.
Yeah.
But, sure, go ahead. I'm not saying, I was bearish. One of these guys on tweet thing, this Desi Trade or something, was calling for a big up leg the other day when we were down, and he said we'd close out. The guy's been really right. I gotta give, props to props. I very rarely see anybody that does anything right. And he was calling for this 1400 right in the face of, the market was down a little. It was really good. But I look at the people just whipsaw themselves in this S&P, and, I don't think any of them are making any money.
Right.
I mean, that's part of my thing is, I'd rather just come in with my bearish cap on, for, the August, September, October window and just play it out. I mean, those are the good windows.
That, and I think another way, we haven't talked about this, but one thing I've been able to kind of pick some spots is, buy some puts on the SPY. They're very liquid. The weeklies I like, and then trade the long side versus it. It's pretty neutral.
No, but again, you kill me on the SPY. Why wouldn't you just do SPX and get the right tax treatment and have the good hours where you can trade around the clock?
It's just, I'm just talking about intraday hedging and having a longer put position on it if I think that we're going down versus if I think we're going up, I'll buy the SPY just for the weekly.
But what about the SPX? Why wouldn't the SPX futures be?
They're fine.
I mean, the SPX futures options trade.
Yeah, they're fine. It's just a nice liquid way to kind of neutralize the position until it goes my way. That's all.
You got the TV on in the background or something.
Hey, no. Just, so the bottom line is, really just trying to, manage that risk is all we're trying to do with something like that.
I just think you should just use the most efficient vehicle, the same thing we talked about in the one ETF thing. But I mean, putting all that aside, it's like, I literally don't care if they're giving away money. I mean, to me, if there's money to be made and any equity or spider or any of this stuff, it's just like, I like money, but I like hookers and cocaine too. I just don't use them anymore. So it's just I don't care. The results. I just know I don't want any hookers and cocaine around. So I won't do it. I'm narrowing things down to where I don't even have the S&P up anymore. I saw it go by on the television. I just won't even look at a quote on it because I was trading the S&P futures and I did well. People quit as losers all the time. I did the FX, I made money, I quit because I recognized that, it wasn't an efficient market. I watched it spike and do some things that would have scared me. I watched the S&P is now decoupled with VIX largely. Yep. So, I'm doing a study on the S&P options that comprise VIX. But, to me, you're getting so much more bang being long VIX than you are being short the market, that it's not even close. I mean, we literally are looking at a situation where there's a potential 100%. So, for the bulls, I don't think the S&P is going to go to, 2,800 in the next few weeks. And for the bears, I don't think it's going to go to 0.
Right.
And I think the likelihood of VIX doubling up is very, very high, or at least starting with a 3. I think the VIX is going to start with a 3 at some point between now and October thing. I think it's a high probability event. And so that's where, my running away from even looking at S&P, like I said, I looked at the options with the guy, and you're going to post 20 handles. You could do the VIX and post 6 handles and make twice the money. And have much less risk. So, I mean, if I have any moral to this story, I guess that's it today, is that you're looking at just efficiency and you still get the good tax treatment and all the things like that. So, the only thing you could do interesting over the top of it is go to the VIX and maybe buy some puts.
Right.
So, I'd buy August, futures. If they don't work by September, that don't work by October, and whatever happens. You're going to be right in there somewhere, or do something a little more creative, like the trades I have on.
Right.
But I definitely think if you put ES and VIX side by side as vehicle, that you can just throw ES out now too.
Yeah.
It's just a process of eliminating. We're down to the bonds and VIX.
What's the volume? Is it picking up yet on the VIX futures?
VIX futures has went in recent history from about 5,000 contracts a day to 135,000 contracts a day.
Okay.
And I love that question because I had this one guy that kept saying, you keep bagging on equities because you want people to come into the futures market, a bunch of unsuspecting rubes to feather your nest. The guy attacked me saying that I had some ulterior motive. I have Like I'm doing enough size, my little, 50 watts at a big day to affect the market. Like I need him to quit trading Spider like a moron and come into the S&P futures with me because I need him.
Right.
It makes no sense at all to me. I mean, my massage therapist is trading VIX futures for crying out loud. I get free work now because of the money she makes. So
no kidding.
I'm doing work trade. Yeah. I mean, why not? I mean, she doesn't have leverage. She has money. I mean, it's the only person I'm doing my retail business. I'm trading massage for any good looking girls that watch this that want to come to Maui, and there's some dirty work involved, but not with Rocky doesn't have to get a massage. She doesn't have to work on the dog. Just me. There's one dog at a time.
There's no doggy massages, but for your dog. Yeah, I got you.
I was trying to make light of that. But I'll share with you hopefully in the next day or so. I'm doing the total notional dollar amount of the S&P options traded and the volume. As I'm working directly with the CBOE trying to gather this up, and I'm putting together a study. And then I'm going to lay the VIX and the S&P over the top. So we'll be able to see all the correlations or anti-correlations, because that is the interesting story of the last week or two, is we've had a huge decoupling.
Right.
Again, I've just been lucky. Like I got completely out of T-VIX and it collapses from 20 to 2 or 3 or wherever it is. And then, I quit trading S&P futures options, and now here it is. The S&P is moving 10, 12 handles, 15 handles, and VIX is marching to its own drummer.
Right.
So people think they're directly connected, and all it is the insurance premium that people are willing to pay.
Right.
So I think insurance will become dear again at some point.
At some point, it'll probably be at a 20 handle before they start buying it. Not now when it's 15, but yeah.
Right. I mean, we're looking at August VIX is I covered it yesterday when it was about 80 cents over parity, and it's back up to $1.30 over parity today. So I got very lucky and ended up today would have been a losing day probably because August spiked up so hard. So, I turned a loser into a winner in spite of what the market's doing, which is just making people frustrated, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you're trading directionally in here, less is more for sure.
All it does is add hours a day of my sleep time.
Right.
All I do is stay in bed unless we hit an alarm, and we came far from hitting any VIX. I want to wake up at VIX move 10%. I didn't get I don't even think I rolled over.
No.
Nothing. No reason to disturb my sleep. But we're in. What's that?
I'm just looking at the August. What are we? 1765 or so on the VIX futures. Yeah.
Up about 5% on the day.
Yeah, it's a pretty good day.
That's my point. Is look at VIX. I look at the S&P. I mean, to get a 5% move in the S&P futures, I mean, what are we talking about here? We need a flash crash.
Yep.
The VIX, I mean, just trade if you're doing S&P and you're doing a 10 lot, I mean, go trade a 1 lot of VIX. You'll improve and have less risk.
It's true.
It don't make no sense.
It's true.
Now here we are, not using Apple products on both sides, and you got an iPhone dinging in the background. Go figure. Apple is the one great company of all time, and I'll never trade it again as long as I live. That's it. The one stock I would have been willing to trade. This is it right here. I'll be like this. I'll be like, oh shit, I tried to trade it. Oh no, look, I tried to trade it 3 times. No, I will chop a finger off if I go to push a keystroke on an equity again. I swear. I'm willing to trade the S&P again. I don't care what they're doing. I really don't. I think it's just absolute monstrosity. I hate all products at this point. That's it. Just down to VIX and bonds. What else do you need? You got $16 trillion in debt, and you need people that have no choice but to buy insurance.
Yep.
I have 2 captive audiences.
It's true.
I mean,
you got to grow in
what's the volume been on the S&P this year in the future?
It's been falling.
Yeah, it's been dismal, yeah?
Dismal, yeah. Really bad. Really bad.
This reminds me a bit of '09.
Reminds me a bit of '03 through '05. Not quite as bad, but getting there.
Well, that's the other thing that even the guys at the CBOE, when I shared with them my workup on VIX, I created my own custom continuous contract and then ran it back. And then I took all the data, because, the VIX used to be on the OEX, and then they also changed the rules of how they measure it, I think, in '06. But I had like over 6,000 data points, and people don't realize we had 2 years where VIX never saw 25 back in '05, '06. And over the entire period, it spends a lot of time down at this level. So it's not that, we're all focused on what's been happening, whereas you go back to the 90s, there were 3 or 4 years where it just creeped along 10.
Yeah.
But 10, 8, 9, 10 is the very, very low. I mean, I don't think it'll ever go.
95 through 98 were really bad, and then 94 to 97, same thing, and then '03 through '05. So we're getting there again.
That was the new paradigm shift, though. That was Goldilocks. That was the ability to control the economy. That was productivity. That was Greenspan's heyday of being the maestro. And the 16 trillion today we're paying for is just that setup that he gave us back then when he should have been raising rates.
Right.
So, and also shouldn't have let the housing thing happen. And, like I say time and again, I could run this entire country just with my morning coffee.
Yeah.
Better than the Fed and the governmental people sending pictures on text naked things. Makes my shit look.
All right, that's our next interview is very good and very bad politicians, because there's nobody in between. So on that note, buy VIX futures, buy the sell the bonds, and hold on.
We can go on record right here by saying 1400s is it's a better bet. The next 100 handles is probably a lot better down than up, I think. But
I think 1300 before 1500, but who knows? Nothing surprises me anymore.
No, be prepared. I'll talk to you.
All right, peace, Greg.